Sri Lanka's most powerful news brand.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And of course we do broadcast on TV1, live on Facebook, and a little bit later on YouTube. And soon, when I learn how to tag people, you can have it on your Facebook, through our Facebook. In the meantime, this morning, Newsline, with a slight difference. We've got a member of the public with us to give us his take on, and his expectations and his hopes from having these local elections. And to join us here is the former banker, supporter of our Gammadda program, I'll tell you about that too, is Mr. Kumar Weerasuriya. Good morning to you.
Good morning for us.
It's lovely having you here, Mr. Kumar.
Thank you, likewise.
Tell me, you've got some involvement in cricket as well, haven't you?
Yeah, some years ago I was the treasurer of the cricket board then.
Right.
For some years,
right.
Couple of years, yes.
Now, and in your working career, you've worked in virtually all the banks.
Yes, many banks, both local and international banks.
Right. And now you live in Maharagama, is it?
Yeah, Maharagama electorate, but I live in Pitakotte.
Right.
So this is a bit confusing.
Right.
I live near Rajamaha Viharaya and the St. Thomas's Church and there,
right.
But it belongs to the
Maharagama Council.
For whatever.
Right. Now then, you're here to share with us your views, your hopes for what these elections can or can't do. What are the issues?
This is the local government elections, obviously.
Yes, yeah.
I think all the media and everything focuses on the garbage issue.
Right.
As a member of the public,
yeah.
If you don't go to the macro level,
yeah.
Of where it is disposed and all these things,
yeah.
Or the environment for
yeah.
that matter, the garbage is one of the things in focus. But of
yeah.
course the local councils do many other things, like maintaining health clinics, doing the roads, drains. They do many things like that, the street lights, then approving building plans. And extensions and so on. So I think most of us may not use all of these services.
But we use some of them?
Some of them.
Some of the time.
Yeah, public utilities like parks and so on
yeah.
also.
Yeah.
But mostly we come face to face with these building approvals and garbage.
Right.
I guess.
Right.
I think I share the concerns of many of the public
yeah.
when we talk of these two issues.
Right.
And I think coming to this program, since Bandula invited me for the Sinhala program, I in
yes,
fact visited my council,
right.
which is the Maharagama Council,
yeah.
where I got a very good reception and I spoke to them about the issues.
Do you think you got a good reception because they knew you were going to come on television?
No, I never told them that.
Right.
I went and asked them about this garbage, and they had a leaflet. I got some copies of that,
right.
which they hand out. I asked for that first.
Right. Okay.
And they were very, very accommodating, and they spoke very well actually.
Right.
This is what they gave me.
Right.
It's in Sinhala. I guess they must be having in other languages as well. Then I explained to them why this garbage was not collected for 4 days in the previous week. Our area, it is supposed to be collected on Friday. But they in fact came on Tuesday. So imagine all the garbage in front of these houses, which people have built with bank loans and their savings.
Their pride and joy.
Yeah,
right?
and using top-class architects.
Yeah.
Right. And this garbage, mountains of garbage in front of these houses. Our environments are no longer that we can enjoy, you know, it's not pleasing to the eye. So 4 days is not been taken, the dogs snatch these bags and, you know, scatter it all over, cats. In our area, porcupines also.
Right.
Yeah, so that's something that has to be attended to as a priority by the council. Now, when I went to the council, I asked them, what's the issue here? Why
yeah.
did you not take? They said that we have limited number of vehicles, so when it breaks down, we can't do anything else. So we have to wait till it repairs, right? But they also told me that they expect some new vehicles in a couple of days, or very soon, so that this may get resolved.
But isn't being professional all about being ready for the unexpected?
Yes, of course. That is the leadership that we need nowadays. As I said in the Sinhalese program, now you go to the immigration.
Yeah.
I think there was outstanding commissioner some years ago,
Yeah.
Mr. Pereira, I think,
Yeah.
who revolutionized the place. He found money that was not coming from, I don't know from where he found the money. He did training in customer service,
Yeah.
and it improved leaps and bounds. Now today you go, I had
I think it's very well run.
very well run. So identity, NICs and passports. Recently I had a friend of mine who came to Sri Lanka and he had to get his passport and his family's passports done. I said, do you want me to help? It's okay now. You go in the morning and they'll give it to you back. But he said, no, I just want to test the system. And he was so happy.
But it's actually, I've been there as well to help
Yeah.
a friend. It's ever so streamlined, and it is really nice. It's clean.
Yes.
And the environment, the ambience is good.
Of course, it's new.
Well, it's new, yes, it's
So
new.
you have to maintain. Leadership has to be there. Even
But I
within
think
the-
Mr. Rana Singh is doing a jolly good job there.
Yeah, okay.
It really is, because some foreigners told me that they went there to get their visas extended or something like that. And they came back and said, it works. It's brilliant. So
Well, I think that the touts and those people who were selling, it was when it was in the fort.
Yeah.
There was a lot of people outside there selling application
That's
forms
right,
and so
yeah,
on. If you recall, right?
Yeah,
20 years ago, that's how it was.
It was, indeed.
And then everybody promises, if you want it soon, I will help you, but it cost you this much, that much. I think that has completely disappeared as far as the immigration and NICs are concerned.
Yeah.
But there must be some issues when you're not compliant with everything.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but you go to the district secretary. I happen to go to the district secretary, the Colombo district secretary, in front of the Lanka hospital.
Yeah.
Because a friend of mine from Canada, he wants his father's death certificate.
Right.
I just walked in, this is a couple of years ago. He asked, as you go in, there's a guy sitting on a computer.
Right.
He asked me, what do you want? I said, I need a death certificate. What is the date? So he switched on to that date. What is the name? I would say within 2 or 3 minutes, the copies, he asked, how many copies? I said 5 or whatever that my friend wanted. He got printed. The only delay was they had to manually sign it to authenticate it, right, to make it a proper copy.
Yeah.
So it had been scanned in the system.
Right.
And somebody signed. I was out of there in 15 minutes.
So it's wonderful.
It's wonderful. Some years ago I went to to get the new license, the driving license. Same. I didn't fill any form, right? They captured everything into the system. Even the photograph was taken by their system. And eventually, in fact, then I had to sign the form. Eventually, when it came to the end, they scanned that piece of paper that I signed, which they produced, and gave it back to me. You can take it. So we have it in our system now. So if you have the proper leadership, it's not that you can't improve this government or this.
So where does it
councils.
go wrong then, Kumar? We're drawing on your vast experience, banking, the world of cricket, which has gone so wrong, and so on. I refuse to read the sports pages anymore until somebody will tell me that Sri Lanka cricket's doing all right. So with all that, and you say, these things work.
Yeah.
So where does it go wrong? At what point does it go wrong?
I think, of course, the system itself is corrupt. It's unfortunately people look to the top and take a leaf out of whatever, a cue from there, right? A classic example, to illustrate the point. One day I was traveling from Pirakote to Talwatugoda area, and in a lonely area. There was 2 children standing by a car, so I stopped to ask, what are you doing here? It was not, there were no people around. There was a seller selling some kind of fruit a little further away. They said, no, cars, petrol. My father went to, get some petrol. I said, this lonely place you are staying. Anyway, I wanted to hang around there, so I walked up to this fellow. He was selling pears.
Right.
And he had boards there saying, Lankave pears.
Right.
So I'm a vegetarian, so I know what's the difference between Lanka and
Imported
imported
one and
pear.
that, yeah.
So I said, this is not Lanka pears, right? So he said, "Nasa meka thamai manga mama dannawa Lanka pears. Me di pettiyak thiyenne me China pears me meka." Then he cooled, came to his senses and he said, "Manga ehema වැරදි." I told him, "Ehema වැරදි කරන එක හොඳ නෑනේ. What you're doing is wrong, right? Why do you want to lie to the public to say?" He said, in Sinhala he said, "Sir, me රටේ ලොක්කෝ කරන දේවල් බලනකොට මෙහෙ පොඩි දෙයක් නේ sir." So he said, when these big people in this country are doing these things, what is this? Is this the wrong thing? Right? So that's what is wrong with the system. That's what goes.
So back to these local issues. What do you think they should? So basically, there's a lack of equipment. So what are they going to do? Are they going to raise your taxes in Waragama?
I guess you must be in the right. The way it is fought now, the way. No, I met this guy, a friend of mine who's an ex-councillor from Kotte. He is presently contesting. I do not wish to mention his name. But now see, only two kind of people can get into this system who are candidates. One, because their allowance is 20,000 rupees and 6,000 rupees for travelling, 6,000 for phone, maybe some little other payment. Now that is not sufficient for a person.
This is not a full-time job.
Yeah, but still he has to travel. He has to do this. He is doing this. My friend is doing full-time. So only two kinds of people will enter this if that kind of allowances and so on. One is the person who is genuinely concerned about the people who want to be in social and public service.
Who's who
wants to be socially relevant person. Right. The others are people who are corrupt, who want to make a buck. Otherwise, there is no need to be there, right?
Or who want to be corrupt.
Who wants to be corrupt, or who are corrupted. And we see in the media, I think the last few weeks, I have read and heard in the media and seen in the media that lots of known criminals, corrupt people have been nominated, including somebody who got...
So in that context, then how do you feel? Or how, let's say that one of these corrupt people were from your ward. Now you're voting for a party, not for a person. So you vote and then you hope for the best, because that party that you voted for will have to choose. And let's say that they win, then this corrupt person will end up in the council.
Yes, of course. We have
so
no
therefore,
that.
Therefore, will you then not vote for your... to keep that corrupt person out, will you vote for a complete outside party then?
Unfortunately, this is not being fought on the line that we want to put our game in.
What in your view is what are you voting for this time? What in your view? Is it the national issues? Is it who's the better party? Is it the president's party? Is it the alternative president's party, the former president's party, the UNP? Yeah. What is it?
I would vote for a person who can, because you don't need scientists to do this cleaning of drains and collecting garbage and that. Typically,
there's only one thing I reckon you need.
Man with a common sense.
Common sense, yes.
Man with common sense.
I have a little 12-year-old friend who told Talata Tukorale that she needs common sense. This is a 12-year-old telling the Honourable Talata. It was said in good spirit.
Yeah.
But those words ring true every day because, common sense, that's what you need.
Exactly. You don't need rocket science to do correct garbage and put a light or clean the drains or to run a public utility, right? So typically we should be voting for a man who is public spirited, who will do that job, who is not corrupt. Yeah. But the thing is, whoever we vote for is not going to be material if the council is going to be won by a political party. Right. Then they will carry the political party's agenda.
Yeah.
Right? So when I spoke to my friend who was a councillor before, what he said is one of the major issues is if you are in the opposition, you can get nothing done.
Yeah.
They have no allocations for them, this and that.
Yeah.
They just go and Even if they vote against, they are outvoted by the ruling party, right? So even if you get elected, even if you are elected, the major issues they handle, except the routine issues like collecting garbage, there is political pressure from the top when you carry on major projects, like giving contracts, tenders and so on. But so he says sometimes the voter like me is helpless. So I might, because this is being shown to us as like the general election, where the few political parties are fighting it out. Right? It says it is a mandate for the government or to change the government and so on. Right? Whilst the intention of this present reforms was to bring your local man to the council.
Now then, it's all very frustrating, and I've got somebody from your area who's sent us a message. Unfortunately, I don't know the names of these people, okay? So I only have somebody send us the numbers. And you can send us numbers. It'll come up on your screen, and it should have come. 0772 300 305. SMS us, WhatsApp us, and it's straight through here. Please don't dial it. And we'll try and take it up. Just 2 days ago, I spoke to the Commissioner of Kotte Urban Council, a demand of money monthly for removal of garbage. They do not collect regularly and give various lame excuses like, I went on a trip, no vehicles, etc. Also, they have to pay the municipal council to collect from a point. When I ask the neighbors to refuse payment, they say, what can we do? Nobody takes responsibility. By the way, I'm from Nawala East. So it's almost reflecting what you're saying.
Yeah, but for Kotte, because my friend was from Kotte, I know some part of, I think the southern part of Kotte is being given to a private company.
Yeah.
And it so happens my son's house is in that area, and he's quite happy about that, the garbage handling. And the northern part, if I'm correct, as I recall, is run, collected and done by the employees of the council. So probably this gentleman who, or the lady who commented, is in an area that is not collected by that private company. The garbage is not being handled by the private company.
Yes.
And many people say when it is a private company, we have a person, a supervisor to complain and so on, which is not so when it is run by the council itself.
Another view is saying that they would like to know about the stray dogs, mainly stray dogs, and about the minor roads, and as to whose responsibility is it? Is it the government, local bodies?
Yeah, the minor roads, the side roads, lanes, some of them are with the local council.
You mentioned building permits and so on.
Yes.
I live in an area where there is now a deluge of apartments, right? So Sri Lanka is going vertical in terms of living space. But I'll tell you what, they've ruined the road. And I can't, these potholes have got to be covered up and so on. Nobody's doing jack about it. And these heavy trucks, these cement mixers and so on, it keeps us up all night long. And the road's small as it is, and so when you park on one side, it's almost impossible for the bigger trucks to get through. And then, there's all sorts of jolly things happening all throughout the night, all because of these vertical living. And a chap on the beach told me that they can only go up so many levels. So I said, you're mad. It's got 15 floors. He said, the rest of the floors are illegal. He said, the UDA came and tried to stop it, but the local council says, the developer says he's got permission from the local council.
Yeah, these problems are across. I mean, there is corruption, there is all these things.
Well, what about that building in Welawata? It fell.
Yes, it fell. It did.
It was a jolly good job. There was no function going on there.
In fact, I had been to that hall a couple of weeks before that. So fortunately, but you came to a good point about this, something that bothers, or I have an idea on.
Yeah.
On these high-rise buildings which are coming up for office space and for apartments.
Yes.
Right now, the UDA, which has lots of properties across this Colombo city and the suburbs,
Yeah.
are selling them or doing jointly with the private sector
Yeah.
projects to you know, put up these buildings and commercial complexes and various other
How
things.
compliant do you think these are?
I don't know, but the idea is this: our infrastructure in terms of roads, water, sanitation issues cannot support this, I think, in the short term until we get some solution, particularly for the public transport. So the thing is, and it also is changing the character of our city, right? Which has some beautiful buildings and you know, places of
Yes, but we can't forever and a day, Kumar.
Now the
What will
UDA
start?
has put up an advertisement or published an advertisement calling for recommendations, which I am now circulating amongst my friends, getting ideas.
Yeah.
So we are going to suggest that they stop doing this in the city, because
Yeah.
they are going to get some hectares of land from the port city, the UDA.
Right.
So do their private public partnership development and so on, concentrate on the hectares they are getting at the port city, and make these lands that they have in the present Colombo city and the suburbs into public space, like parks, you know, things like that, of which is probably walkways that are already there, and so on, and beautify the city. Because the way we are going, we are losing all the green space we have in the city, which is owned by the government or the UDA, and has been turned into commercial or residential complexes. And our infrastructure, as you said, your road is narrow, and they put up another building there.
Yeah.
Hundreds of cars converge on these roads, you know, to get off to office in the morning and
Yeah.
come back in the evening, creating major traffic jams.
Thank you. I have also, we're getting various messages, including one from a regular viewer who tells us that unfortunately she's unable to watch today because her partner, her husband, is in hospital. We wish them all a speedy recovery and so on, and we do appreciate very much your active input onto this program, because we do try and reflect right throughout our networks. We do try and reflect public concern. It is on behalf pro the public that we are acting, and sometimes it's very, very sad, and it's not our. We don't relish bringing you bad news, but what can we do when we report on matters of overriding national interest, like the bond scam, the Central Highway scam, the coal scam, all these things? There's not a single procurement of any substance, of any significance, that has been without controversy. And it is, as journalists, as a media outfit here, we don't relish doing this, but we do, because we have to, because it's what the public want. So it's nothing personal, but you know, keep sending us your questions and so on. Another thing, Kumar, what do you think? Do you really think that these local elections will make a difference to your little plot?
I seriously doubt. I seriously doubt.
It's a waste of money.
It's a waste of money, because the intention is to bring your village known person to the council, to whom you can take your issues, problems.
As a banker, you might understand this. If the BMICH was if it was a listed business, I'd be rushing to buy shares there.
Of course.
Do you know why? Because even the Maragama and the Colombo municipality, they don't, under the new system, they don't have enough space to seat all their members. So I'm told, reliably told, by a budding investigative journalist on our team, a young gentleman, that they'll be hiring space from the BMICH on a regular basis. The bookings for the BMICH will go straight through the roof. Now, none of this, have they not thought about this? It's physically impossible to seat all these people at the Colombo municipality. And apparently Maragam is going that way too.
Yeah, Kotte, I think they have sufficient space according to what I heard.
Right.
That they can expand there. But the issue is this, you 4,000 members in the local council has been increased to 8,000.
Yeah.
Right. So, and we saw in the media that many of them who have been nominated are corrupt. And in the parliament we have people who are not even qualified in O levels. I wonder what kind of people will get elected to the local councils. When the parliament of this country, I think some 95% or MPs don't have their O levels or A levels. I saw in the media some months ago.
Right. It's very sad, but I want to ask you something. What made you, what inspired you, or what made you tell your friends that it was your birthday coming up and that you didn't want any gifts, but you would appreciate if they would send you the money because you were going to donate it and get involved in one of these government projects, which you did, I think, in Batticaloa.
Yes.
And you built had a cemetery.
Hindu cemetery.
A Hindu cemetery built in Batticaloa,
Yes.
many, many miles and hours away from where you live.
Yes.
What's that about?
I am a regular viewer of the government programs, and many of the projects that you do through the government are typically should be done by the local councils. Now, doing cemeteries or buildings in cemeteries and so on is the responsibility of the councils, as I understand, right? So, the roads that you build, the small roads to villages, and so that the government, the people improve. I was so impressed. So, I believe that lighting a candle, then cursing the darkness is the way to go, right? So, which is why we can't be waiting for these,
But you also sort of added your own money to what you got from your friends.
Yes, so then when the project came, it was nearly 600,000,
right.
And I had got some 300,000, yeah. So, I mean, it was a very worthy cause, and if you had, when I went to hand it over, how delighted those people. In fact, it comes to something about this election issues where I read in the day before's papers that even caste and some Muslim ladies who were being, pressurized or against their, contesting the local government election. Now, this cemetery got the government, the people your office will know, got delayed somewhat. So, several months, I think 4 or 5 months. So, I asked, there was a government official who came for that handing over ceremony. So, what happened? Why was this delayed? Just for conversation's sake, right? He said, I'm very sad to say this, but it must be said because it has become an issue in this local government election. He said, this is a low-caste village. I don't want to mention the village name, so it's not nice. But the neighboring village is a higher caste village.
Right.
So they were putting pressure and making so difficult for the council and the people involved to get this going. So that validates what's been published yesterday, day before, about people will vote on some caste lines and religious lines and ethnic lines. And like this lady, I read in one paper, one of the papers weekend, that where one Muslim girl or lady who was contesting, they had called the police and said there is some drugs or something to that effect, that 119. So they raided the house, and in front of the villagers gathered around them, and they felt very ashamed.
Now then,
these are issues that we face. Yeah,
these are real-time issues.
Real-time issues.
Now then, very quickly, because we're in the last few seconds of the program, what would you, member of the public, Kumar Weerasuriya, member of the public, former bank and all that, but member of the public, what's your advice to your fellow voters? How should they vote?
Yeah,
on what basis?
Please vote for honest, non-corrupt, educated people. Maybe it won't change the environment today, but at least we'll create we'll be taking the initial steps for a better political environment in the future. We need honest, efficient people getting into these councils. Even they may be in the opposition, doesn't matter. let it be next time. But the other
start the change.
Yes, it should change. We must give that initial. We must take the initial step. It may not change tomorrow.
Right. Kumar Weerasuriya, thank you very much for being on Newsline. We do appreciate your presence here and your take from the perspective of a member of the public. So that's the way it was on January the 30th, Tuesday, from Newsline. And keep the faith and try and make the change for a better tomorrow. Let's look forward to a better Sri Lanka with the palm swaying, the sun-kissed beaches, and where real democracy is alive and well, and where there is no space for corruption, political patronage, and all those other things. Take care. God bless.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.